What's up, YouTube? Tom here with my first review slash how-to video. I don't do a lot of these because I'm usually the one watching them. But anyways, I have a firearm here that a lot of people, have had mixed reviews about. I've seen good reviews on it. I've seen bad reviews on it. I've seen reviews that say, hey, if you ain't got a lot of money, this is the gun for you. So I kind of want to post what I think about it and the position that I'm in. I can afford a firearm. I can afford to have the hobby and whatever, but I'm not going to go spend a bunch of money on a super expensive firearm just for something that I'm going to keep in my desk, for home protection. I don't go and shoot matches. I'm not at the range every weekend, so it's not super important to me to have a super fancy, super expensive firearm. So what I have here is a Cobra firearms. It is the Denali, chambered in .380. Took it shooting today for the first time. Took my son Jonathan out there. Had a great time. What I've seen on these on the reviews of this gun, it has a lot of problems with failure to feed. And so, of course, the first fix, you think of is let's polish the feed ramp. So I did that, and got it all taken apart, and it's actually been polished. It is very smooth. Not as smooth as I've seen them. I can still see some machine marks, but it is smoothened out quite a bit. There was a pretty good lip right here. Let me get a little something to point with. Yeah, there was a pretty good lip right in here. Smoothing that down a little bit, and also in here where the round would enter the chamber, there was a pretty good lip right there. And that is actually the problem area that I came across when I was firing the gun today. The edge of the casing hung up on that little lip, and as soon as I pulled the slide back to clear the firearm, the round fell into the chamber and was ready to roll. So I polished those two areas pretty good. And what I did was I have a polishing bit on my Dremel, and when I took the gun apart, and I have some very fine 2000 grit sandpaper, and I sanded all the burrs down. Took it down till it felt nice and smooth. Got all the dust off of it and stuff, and then I took my polishing bit with my Dremel and just a little bit of buffing compound, aka car wax, and just buffed it out real good. And now it feels super smooth. Time will tell. We'll see how it works when I go shooting. Okay, moving on. A few other things that I noticed with this firearm that I didn't like when I was shooting it today was here on your trigger assembly, the bottom of the trigger here. Actually, I'm pointing at the top. Sorry, I'm staring through a camera. The bottom of the trigger here it rides along the bottom of your trigger guard and goes into the groove into the trigger assembly. It was kind of gritty, and you could feel it rubbing against the polymer frame. It was kind of gritty, and then whenever you would release the trigger, you would kind of feel it hanging up as well. So what I did was I got a file, and there's a machine line where this trigger was molded, and I took that machine line down to where it was nice and smooth. I haven't reassembled it yet, obviously, to see how it feels, but you can also trial and error, and you can put it back together and just mess with it until it feels right. But polish that up. Don't mess with this. That little notch on there, that obviously keeps your trigger from extending too far and having all kinds of other problems. Also be careful. Don't lose the spring. This thing will not autofocus that close, but there is a little spring in there, which don't lose that. It hasn't come out on me yet, but don't lose it. So that's the next thing I did. Hopefully that's going to help me smooth it up. Another thing that I have polished up is I don't know if you want to catch it, the firing pin catch, the sear, whatever you want to call it. This is the mechanism that catches the firing pin. When it is blown back, catches the fire pin. Whenever you pull the trigger, this goes down, releases the firing pin. I'm not a gunologist. I don't, I don't know exactly what this is called. Maybe the sear, I think. I'm not sure. Whatever. It's what catches the firing pin and what releases the firing pin. Anyways, so I polished the top of it, the ramp side, I guess you could call it, so that the firing pin is easier to, whenever it blows back, the firing pin can slide over this easier. I didn't take any metal off of it. I didn't change the dimensions of it. I just smoothed it a little bit with that 2000 grit sandpaper. And then on the back side, I also polished it up a little bit as well. Let me get in front of the camera, I guess, so you guys can see. But, yeah, so I polished up the back side as well. Once again, I didn't take any metal off of that. There was no shavings. I just smoothened it out a little bit. Hopefully to smoothen the, just the action, the total feel of the gun. That feels 110% better. There was a noticeable difference after hitting that with the sandpaper. Other than that, another thing I have done was, upon taking apart and reassembling the firearm, I noticed that it is scratching on top of this chamber really bad. And you can see, actually, a couple scratches on there right now. But I took that sandpaper and I took the black paint off of there because I didn't want a bunch of black lines being scratched into the top of the receiver, just making the gun look like it's all beat up when it's not. So that kind of hides that. Another thing I did was, you can see the grips here. I actually got this from another video on this firearm, but I took my wife's wood burning kit and I put a pointy tip on it and actually just melted a bunch of dots into the grips. Whenever you first buy this firearm, the grip is smooth, and the gun felt like it could slip out of your hand fairly easy. So I did that to both grips, just a design of my own choosing, kind of just made it up as I went, but melted it in there, and now it's nice and grippy, real grippy. Took it shooting today with my 8-year-old. He could grab the gun real well. It worked good for his little hands, and for me, it just feels more comfortable and a lot more grippy. Like I said, I did the same thing on the back of the gun. Design of my choosing. I'm not an artist or anything, but yeah, it just helps me grip the gun better because it is a very smooth. You can see here, it's a very smooth grip and handle. So I think I would recommend that for anybody who gets this gun with a soldering iron or a wood burner, anything that gets hot, and is a fine point that you can choose your design. Just a little bit of a custom look. Another thing I did was I just did some slight engraving on the slide. I do like the sage green. It looks very good. But, I'm a guy. I can't leave anything alone how it's supposed to be. I'm sure that's not all guys, it's just me. I'm also sure it's not just me. I'm sure it's a lot of people, but can't leave anything alone. So I did some engraving with a little ball file on my Dremel just to make it mine. That does nothing for the functionality of the gun, by the way. Anyway, yeah. I'm hoping that these few things I've done is going to help it. Other than that, when I was firing it, it cycled great. I'm using cheap ammo. It's Perfecta 380 Auto. It's a 95 grain full metal jacket, brass, and it runs it perfectly. I heard on a video on here that it had some problems with steel casings. I haven't found that out. I'm probably going to stick with brass because in that video, as soon as he switched to brass casings, it was smooth. So yeah, if you get this gun right away, I would polish the feed ramp. I would do that. I would probably, take that machine line down on the bottom of the trigger, smoothen that out. And that's just a personal thing. It feels better. The top of the chamber, I would take that paint off of there just so you're not having scratches when you take it apart, put it back together. Unless you're just super careful with it and you like the way it looks, then that's to each his own. Other other than that, the gun is great. I love it. It's accurate. It's a fixed barrel. It's an accurate gun. I shot a very good group. I just got to get better at shooting the gun. I'm used to full-size handguns. But yeah, I love it. It's a great gun. It's gonna be a good little backup gun, a good little bedside gun. And actually, probably it's gonna be my camping gun too, something to have on my hip while I'm camping. Just because it's small, it's not heavy, it's not cumbersome. So, all right, well, my next project is gonna be a gun that is surprisingly like this gun. It is surprisingly like the Cobra. It is my wife's Raven Arms. It's clear for your safety, guys. Yeah, Raven Arms is built surprisingly a lot like the Cobra firearms. So I'm going to do everything that I just said about the Cobra to the Raven, because it also had a failure to feed today. That'll be another video once I have that all broken down. So yeah, just another side note. If you're watching this video, obviously you have already watched videos on how to take apart and reassemble the Cobra Denali 380. I'm not going to explain that. I'm not going to put it back together on video because I'm already 11 minutes long on this video. So have a good day. Have fun shooting. Be safe. Be courteous to other shooters. And, you know, continue the tradition. All right. Take care. Okay. I'm back. Like I said, wasn't going to put this thing back together on video. But I do have it all back together. And I'm about to do the function check. You know. So that's something you do after you put a gun back together. So, as you can see, the magazine is out. It is empty. Okay. Chamber's empty. It is not armed. You can see the pin is not there. So, yeah, let's see how it feels. Already, it feels a lot smoother. Way smoother. Just a little note, there is how you can see that it is cocked. Oh shoot, I don't know. All this fancy phone. And I can't get it to... Anyway, you can see that kind of in there. There we go. There's that little pin in the back there, and it goes away. I do not advocate dry firing your firearm all the time, but how are you supposed to function check it after you reassemble it without firing it? But that being said, safety's back on. Still clear. Not cocked. Okay, so that being done, right away I can already tell that this gun feels a lot smoother. The trigger is not grabbing whenever you know, I did the function check. It feels nice and smooth. It's unsafe, but I mean, it seems to go in there better. The slide went back a lot smoother. It seemed like it just slid over that catch, the sear, the whatever, the thing that catches the firing pin, you know. It just felt a lot smoother after polishing those few components. So yeah, so now it's time to break down my wife's firearm, her Raven 25 Auto. I'm gonna break that thing down and do all the same stuff to it because it feels great on this Cobra Arms. I cannot wait to shoot it again, and once I do, I'll let you guys know how it works. All right, once again, this is Tom. Thanks for watching YouTube. You know, you can subscribe. I know I don't do guns on my channel a lot. I do a lot of guitar stuff. I build guitars, but this just you know, I felt like doing a review and a how-to. So if you do that stuff and it helps you out, let me know. If you do that stuff and it makes your gun break, let me know that as well. I'm not liable. I'm not a gunsmith. You do all this stuff at your own risk, but I think it's pretty common sense that this stuff is only going to help unless you know, go way overboard. I think you could make the gun unsafe, but do it at your own risk. You know, I'm not a gunsmith. This is not an official how-to, but this is how I did it, and so far I feel it feels a lot smoother. So we shall see. All right, guys, have a good day.